you can last in staying up. Let's see, what books do you have here in this room? Oh, see, you have fun ones. I see a bunch of children's books. I'll just read those to you. We'll see how many we get through before you pass out. How's that? Okay, if you're able to stay up past all the reading, I'll let you stay up longer. How about that? We can make a deal, some kind of compromise. Okay, then that's the deal. If you last through all this reading, I'll let you stay up. Let's start then. Let me just pick a book here off of your shelf. What about this book? It's called Fox in Socks by Dr. Seuss. Oh look, there's even a warning on it. Take it slowly. This book is dangerous. Well, I can't wait to see why. Okay, let's start. Fox, socks, box, knocks, knocks in box, fox in socks, knocks on fox, in socks in box. Socks on knocks, and knocks in box, fox in socks, on box on knocks. Chicks with bricks come, chicks with blocks come, chicks with bricks and blocks and clocks come. Look, sir, Mr. Knock, sir. Let's do tricks with bricks and blocks, sir. Let's do tricks with chicks and clocks, sir. First, I'll make a quick trick brick stack. Then I'll make a quick trick block stack. You can make a quick trick chick stack. You can make a quick trick clock stack. And here's a new trick, Mr. Knox. Socks on chicks and chicks on fox. Fox on clocks on bricks and blocks. Bricks and blocks on knocks on box. Now we come to ticks and tocks, sir. Try to say this, Mr. Knox, sir. Clocks on fox tick. Clocks on knocks tock. 6 sick bricks tick. 6 sick chicks talk. Please, sir, I don't like this trick, sir. My tongue isn't quick or slick, sir. I get all those ticks and clocks, sir, mixed up with the chicks and ducks, sir. I can't do it, Mr. Fox, sir. I'm so sorry, Mr. Knox, sir. Here's an easy game to play. Fox sews hose on slow Joe Crow's nose. Hose goes, rose grows, nose hose goes. Rose grows some. Mr. Fox, I hate this game, sir. This game makes my tongue quite lame, sir. Mr. Knox. We'll find something new to do now. Here is lots of new blue goo now. New goo, blue goo, gooey, gooey, blue goo, new goo, gluey, gluey. For chewy, chewing. That's what that goo goose is doing. Do you choose to chew goo too, sir? If, sir, you, sir, choose to chew, sir, with the goo goose, chew, sir, do, sir. Mr. Fox, sir, I won't do it. I can't say it. I won't chew it. Very well, sir. Step this way. We'll find another game to play. Bim comes, Ben comes. Bim brings Ben broom. Ben brings Bim broom. Ben bends Bim's broom. Bim bends Ben's broom. Bim's bends Ben's bends. Ben's bent broom breaks. Bim's bent broom breaks. Ben's band, Bim's band. Big bands, big bands. Bim and Ben lead. Ben's band booms, and Bim's band booms. Big band, boom band, big band, broom band. My poor mouth can't say that, no sir. My poor mouth is much too slow, sir. Well then, bring your mouth this way. I'll find it something it can say. Luke Luck likes lakes. Luke's duck likes lakes. Luke Luck licks lakes. Luke's duck licks lakes. Duck takes licks in lakes. Luke Luck likes. Luke Luck takes licks in lakes. Duck likes. I can't blab such blibber blubber. My tongue isn't made of rubber. Mr. Knox, now come now, come now. You don't have to be so dumb now. Try to say this, Mr. Knox, please. Through 3 cheese trees, 3 free fleas flew. While these fleas flew, freezy breeze blew. Freezy breeze made these 3 trees freeze. Freezy trees made these trees cheese freeze. That's what made these 3 free fleas sneeze. Stop it, that's enough, sir. I can't say such silly stuff, sir. Well then, Mr. Knox, sir, let's have a little talk about Tweedle Beetles. What do you know about Tweedle Beetles? Well, when Tweedle Beetles fight, it's called a Tweedle Beetle battle. Wait a minute, Mr. Socks Fox. When a fox is in the bottle where the Tweedlebeetles battle with their battles in a puddle on a noodle-eating poodle, this is what they call a Tweedle Beetle Noodle Poodle Bottled Paddled Muddled Duddled Fuddled Wuddled Fox in Socks, sir. Fox in Socks, our game is done, sir. Thank you for a lot of fun, sir. The book ends by saying, now is your tongue numb. I guess it was just full of tongue twisters. You're lucky I read that for you, because I'm sure it would have been difficult to read for yourself. I only slightly messed up only one single time. Although I guess I was reading pretty slow and not too fast, huh? It still counts. What other books do you have here on this shelf? What about this one? I can see you're still awake after that one, so I guess I'll have to read a better one. How about this one? How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Every who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh the noise, oh the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together, with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas Sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, get up, and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present: bob, guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the ice box. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that ice box as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree, and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound, like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast, and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd gone out of bed of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney, himself the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other whose houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other whose mouses. It was 1/4 on, all the who's still abed, all the who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpets, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Boo-boo to the who's, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the who's down in Newville will all cry boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound racing over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Newville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every who down in Newville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Newville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. That was a good story. Did it make you go to sleep? Or were you too invested in the Grinch's antics? I see your eyes are still open, so my reading hasn't worked. I guess I'll have to try another one. This one's called Butter Battle Book by Dr. Seuss. On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall, my grandfather took me out to the wall. For a while, he stood silent. Then finally he said, with a very sad shake of his very old head, Zook down. Every Zook eats his bread with the butter side down. But we Ukes, as you know, when we breakfast or sup, spread our bread, Grandpa said, with the butter side up. That's the right, honest way. Grandpa gritted his teeth, so you can't trust a Zook who spreads bread underneath. Every Zook must be watched. He has kinks in his soul. That's why, as a youth, I made watching my goal. Watching Zooks for the Zook watching Border Patrol. In those days, if he dared to come close, I could give him a twitch with my tough-tufted, prickly, snickberry switch. For a while that worked fine. All the Zooks stayed away, and our country was safe. Then, one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Vantage snuck up and slingshotted my snickberry switch. With my broken off switch, with my head hung in shame, to the chief Ukaroo in great sorrow I came. But our leader just smiled. He said, "You're not to blame, and those Zooks will be sorry they started this game. We'll dress you right up in a fancier suit. We'll give you a fancier slingshot to shoot." And he ordered the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some sort of a triple sling jigger. With my triple sling jigger, I sure felt much bigger. I marched to the wall with great vim and great vigor, right up to Vantage with my hand on the trigger. "I'll have no more nonsense," I said with a frown, "from Zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." Vantage looked quite sickly. He ran off quite quickly. I'm unhappy to say he came back the next day in a spiffy new suit with a big new machine, and he snarled as he said, looking frightfully mean, "You may fling those hard rocks with your triple sling jigger, but I also now have my hand on a trigger." My wonderful weapon, the jigger rocks, snatch 'em. We'll fling 'em right back just as quick as we catch 'em. We'll have no more nonsense. We'll take you, sweet bread, butter side up. "I have failed, sir," I sobbed, as I made my report to the chief Ukaroo in the headquarters forts. He just laughed. "You've done nothing at all of the sort. Our slingshots have failed. That was old-fashioned stuff. Slingshots, dear boy, are not modern enough. All we need is some newfangled kind of a gun. My boys in the back room have already begun to think up a walloping whiz zinger one. My bright boys are thinking they're on the right track. They'll think one up quick, and we'll send you right back." They thought of a great one. They certainly did. They thought of a gun called the Kick-a-Boo Kid, which they loaded with powerful boo-doo powder and ants' eggs and bees' legs and dried fried clam chowder. And they carefully trained a real smart dog named Daniel to serve as our country's first doting spaniel. Then Daniel, the Kickapoo Spaniel, and I marched back toward the wall with our heads held high, while everyone cheered and their chairs filled We sure did get worsted, poor Daniel and I. Vantage was there too, and he said the old pig, the boys in my back room, invented this rig called the 8-nozzled elephant-toted boom blitz. It shoots high explosive sour cherry stone pits and will put your dumb kickapoo kid on the fritz. Poor Daniel and I were scared out of our wits. Once more, by Vantage, I was bested and beat. Once again, I limped home from the wall in defeat. I dragged and I sagged, and my spirits were low as I thought they ever could go, when I heard a boom-ba and a diddle-dee-dill, and our butter-up band marched up over the hill. The chief Yugaru had sent them to meet me, along with the right side up song girls to greet me. They sang, "Oh, be faithful, believe in thy butter," and they lifted my spirits right out of the gutter. "My boy," smiled the chief Yugaru, "we've just voted and made you a general. You've been promoted. Your pretty new uniform's ready. Get in it. The big war is coming. You're going to begin it. And what's more, this time you are certain to win it." My boys in the pit have finally found out just what they want in their craft for me. Flight was its own wall, and blood was feathered down Zeus' one and all. Those boys in the back room sure knew how to butter. They made me a thing called the utterly sputter, and I jumped aboard with my heart all aflutter and steered toward the land of the upside-down butter. This machine was so modern, so frightfully new, no one knew quite exactly just what it would do. But it had several faucets that sprinkled blue goo, which somehow would sprinkle the zooks as I flew, and gum up that upside-down butter they chew. I was racing pell-mell when I heard a voice yell, "If you sprinkle us zooks, you'll get sprinkled as well." Van Itch had a sputter exactly like mine, and he yelled, "My blue gooer is working just fine, and I'm here to say that if yooks can goo zooks, you'd better forget it, 'cause zooks can goo yooks." I flew right back home, and as you may have guessed, I was downright despondent, disturbed, and depressed, and I saw just as soon as I stepped back on land, so were all of the girls of the butter-up band. The chief drum majorette, Ms. Yuki Ann Sue, said that was a pretty sour flight that you flew, and the chief Yugaru has been looking for you. I raced to his office. The place was a sight. "Have no fears," said the chief. "Everything is all right. My bright backroom boys have been brighter than bright. They've thought up a gadget that's newer than new. It is filled with mysterious moo-lack-a-moo, and can blow all those zooks clear to Salamagoo. They've invented the bitsy big boy boomeroo. You just run to the wall like a nice little man. Drop this arm on the zooks just as fast as you can. I have ordered all yooks to stay safe underground while the bitsy big boy boomeroo is around." With the arm in my hands, I noticed that every last yook in our land was obeying our chief Yugaru's grim command. They were all bravely marching, with banners aflutter, down a hole for their country, and right side up butter. That's when Grandfather found me. He grabbed me. He said, "You should be down that hole, and you're up here instead. But perhaps This is all for the better somehow. You will see me make history, right here and right now. Grandpa leapt up that wall with a lupulous leap, and he cleared his hoarse throat with a populous beep. He screamed, "Here's the end of that terrible town, full of zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." And at that very instant we heard a clup clup of feet on the wall, and old Vantage clumped up. The boys in his back room had made him one too. In his fist was another big boy boomeroo. "I'll blow you," he yelled, "into pork and wheat beans. I'll butter side up you to small smithereens." "Grandpa," I shouted, "be careful. Oh gee, who's going to drop it? Will you or will he?" "Be patient," said Grandpa. "We'll see. We will see." That was kind of an odd day along. I can see you're still awake. What did you think about it? I'm kinda curious. It didn't even have a proper ending, but I guess that's the point, huh? That most battles don't. Let's read something a little nicer. I can still see you're awake, so I guess I'll just do maybe one more. What about this book right here? Or this one, or this one. Give me a minute and I'll pick. Hold on. Okay, we'll do this one. Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss. Sighed Maisie. Lazy bird hatching an egg. I'm tired and I'm bored, and I've kinks in my leg from just sitting here day after day. It's work, how I hate it. I'd much rather play. I'd take a vacation, fly off for a rest. If I could find someone to stay on my nest. If I could find someone, I'd fly away free. Then Horton the elephant passed by her tree. "Hello," called the lazy bird, smiling her best. "You've nothing to do, and I do need a rest. Would you like to sit on the egg in my nest?" The elephant laughed. "Why, of all silly things, see, the first thing to do is to prop up this tree and make it much stronger. That has to be done. Before I get on it, I must weigh a ton. Then carefully, tenderly, gently, he crept up the trunk to the nest where the little egg slept. Then Horton the elephant smiled. Now that's that. And he sat, and he sat, and he sat, and he sat. And he sat all that day, and he kept the egg warm, and he sat all that night through a terrible storm. It poured, and it lightened, it thundered, it rumbled. This isn't much fun, the poor elephant grumbled. I wish she'd come back, 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Maisie bird doesn't forget. But Maisie by this time was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine way off in Palm Beach, and having such fun, such a wonderful rest, decided she'd never go back to her nest. So Norton kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn. The leaves blew away, and then came the winter. The snow and the sleet, and icicles hung from his trunk and his feet. But Horton kept sitting, and said with a sneeze, I'll stay on this egg, and I won't let it freeze. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through, and then came the springtime with troubles anew. His friends gathered round, and they shouted with glee. They laughed and they laughed, then they all ran away, and Horton was lonely. He wanted to play, but he sat on the egg and continued to say, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. No matter what happens, this egg must be tended. But poor Horton's troubles were far, far from ended. For while Horton sat there, so faithful, so kind, 3 hunters came sneaking up softly behind. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. The rifles were aiming right straight at his heart. Did he run? He did not. Horton stayed on that nest. He held his head high, and he threw out his chest, and he looked at the hunters, as much as to say, shoot if he must, but I won't run away. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. But the men didn't shoot, much to Horton's surprise. They dropped their 3 guns, and they stared with wide eyes. Look, they all shouted, can such a thing be? An elephant sitting on top of a tree. It's strange, it's amazing, it's wonderful, new. Don't shoot him, we'll catch him. That's just what we'll do. Let's take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money. And the first thing he knew, they had built a big wagon with ropes on the front for the pullers to drag on. They dug up his tree, and they put it inside, with Horton so sad that he practically cried. We're off, the men shouted, and off they all went, with Horton unhappy, 100%. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, up over the mountains, 10,000 feet high, then down the mountains, and down to the sea went the cart with the elephant, egg, nest, and tree. Then out of the wagon, and onto a ship, out over the ocean, and ooh, what a trip, rolling and tossing, and splashed with the spray, and Horton said, day after day after day, I meant what I to a circus. Then week after week, they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, Kalamazoo, Hogan, and Washington to Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota, and everywhere thousands of folks flocked to see him and laugh at the elephant up in a tree. Poor Horton grew sadder the farther he went, but he said, as he sat in the hot, noisy tent, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. Then, one day, the circus show happened to reach a town way down south, not so far from Palm Beach, and waddling along way up high in the sky, who, of all people, should chance to fly by, but that old good-for-nothing bird runaway Maisie, still on vacation, and still just as lazy, and spying the flags and the tents just below, she sang out, what fun, why, I'll go to the show. And she swooped from the clouds through an open tent door. Good gracious, gasped Maisie, I've seen you before. Poor Horton looked up, with his face white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, there rang out the noisiest, ear-splitting squeaks from the egg that he'd sat on for 51 weeks. A thumping, a bumping, a wild, alive scratching. My egg, shouted Horton. My egg, why it's hatching. But it's mine, screamed the bird when she heard the egg crack. The work was all done. Now she wanted it back. It's my egg, she sputtered. You stole it from me. Get off of my nest and get out of my tree. Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. But at that very instant, the egg burst apart, and out of the pieces of red and white shell, from the egg that he'd sat on so long and so well, Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears and a tail, and a trunk just like his. And the people came shouting, what's all this about? They looked and they stared with their eyes popping out. Then they cheered and they cheered and they cheered more and more. They'd never seen anything like it before. My goodness, my gracious, they shouted, my word. It's something brand new. It's an elephant bird. And it should be like that. Because Horton was faithful. He sat and he sat. He meant what he said. And he said what he meant. And they sent him home happy. 100%. Are you sleeping yet? I knew you would fall asleep. Reading always does the trick. Well, I hope you're having good dreams in dreamland. I'll leave so I don't